Here we are, and we are so happy to have on our video today Mark and Marianne Kearns, who have journeyed all the way up to Indianapolis, Indiana for basic training. And Mark and Marianne, welcome to basic training. Welcome to Indianapolis, and welcome to this episode of home video studio, getting started with home video studio, whatever we want to call it. How's it going? How do you like basic training so far?
I'd say it's just about as exciting as we thought it would be. We're took a trip up here, and it's been a long time coming to get ourselves started and situated, but the information up to this point has been incredible.
Agree. It's great to be here. We've been looking forward to it. Robert's been really helpful. I joked with Mark, he's like the Wikipedia for the video business and history. It's just been wonderful.
Thank you. It's always interesting, and we have been doing basic training now, well, for a long time, since 1999. And as we talked about, that table behind you where we're sitting during the week. And for anybody wondering what we do at Basic Training, studio owners come in on a Sunday. We start on Monday. We go through Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the facts, information, and knowledge about the business and pricing. I know we've been working today a lot about pricing. I mean, how much would you price for um, a video? Would it be $500, $5,000, 15,000? And and how about right before we started today? I guess what, 20 minutes before, we had a customer that came in, a new customer, and he brought in approximately probably what is a $15,000 project. Just brought it in. And that is the amazing part of home video studio. And we were just discussing that, weren't we, today, discussing how people bring in these big tubs of photos and things like that. So, um, I mean, that's cool. So, welcome to basic training. Oh, and I was going to mention that table behind you. So many studio owners have trained at that table. Many superstars and great owners in home video studio. So you're in good company. I was wondering if you would share maybe how you heard about home video studio, what thought process you went through, from that initial, wherever you saw the ad, and I won't give it away, but you can talk about that, and then what the whole thing was like, and then how you got to this point, if you don't mind. I think it's an interesting story.
Oh, you were the one that found it, so take it away.
I reached out to Robert in June of this year after seeing the ad for the studio and the business on LinkedIn. And I reached out to Robert because it was at a point in our lives when Mark and I were both kind of reevaluating what we want to do with our careers. We'd been struggling with the lack of efficiency and control in the corporate world after many years. And we both grew up very, passionate about photography. And then as our family grew, we became even more passionate about memory keeping and stories and just trying to chronicle all of the things that have happened between our families, our lineage, Mark's lineage, our family memories from our children, and the digital versus the paper and all of that. So the intersection of just seeing that opportunity pop up on LinkedIn, and we were at a point where we were starting to think about next chapters, next steps for us to this hit a home for both of us. So it was worth looking at, saying, I told Mark right away, I said, hey, I saw this business opportunity. I think we should call and look into it, see what it's all about. It just really, it seemed to hit all the points of things that we were looking for.
Yeah, and I would add that one of the things that really kind of came across from almost the onset was Robert's expertise, his knowledge, his real, tenure doing this for 33 years. There's, many studios that have been set up and have been executing. And one of the things that he really wanted us to do was to talk to some of the other studio owners that would be able to kind of share their experience of the business and how it grew. And we really, I rolled up my sleeves, wanted to understand how they had set up their studios, and to it, every one of them spoke of the same basic expertise, which was, we got started, kind of got things rolling, and the engine just starts cranking, and that's what we're here this week to understand, all of the things that are going to help us. But what's come across loud and clear is the expertise Robert has of really being able to handle just about any situation. And today we were assembling tapes and trying to make sure that we can splice them with just those kind of things. You don't know what you don't know until you really sit down with the team here, and everybody brings an interesting wrinkle to the this business. So
Yep.
we're really excited to get our engine going, to set up things in North Carolina, and knowing that we've got the A team behind us to really to execute our vision for the company.
Right.
The journey is so important, and I wonder, can you share a little bit? You don't have to say where you work or things, but what, Mark, what were you doing? And Marianne, what do you do now? And you're going to run the business as a couple. We've had many couples run the business and several that are currently running studios. So how are you going to split the workload? And let's start with Mark. Where did you what were you doing approximately, and then we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, no, so my background has been in sales. I started out in San Francisco in the enterprise software world, and have worked at Oracle and Salesforce and IBM, really large multinational companies where I did enterprise sales, put together, large deals, was as Marianne hit on earlier, under the corporate, world, really regimented, very disciplined. And so my background was just to, you know, get deals done and close them as quickly as I could. And coming into this opportunity, it really opened up a new, life for me, because I think of myself as being really good in sales, really good at marketing, but it optimizes on our own skills. And Marianne and I are like we think are going to be a formidable team. She brings a lot of her creativity and a lot of things that are I think inherent to getting a good business together. So I'm going to kind of focus on the sales and driving a lot of the opportunities where she's going to do her thing. And I think ultimately this business lends itself to the creative kind of feel and learning as you go, and how to really build this business with your own fingerprints on it. So I don't think Robert is forcing our hand on really anything that I've heard, and that excites me, because I feel like you got to try things, and you got to experiment, and you got to kind of draw some understanding, and then modify as you go. But ultimately we think it's going to be just a whirlwind, just of what we saw, phone calls coming in, and opportunities presenting themselves. So
Yeah.
Marianne can share her background.
I've been in advertising and marketing in the media world my whole life. I started even in college. But Mark and I both we're both competitive and motivated by, success and, success markers in terms of sales. And that's propelled us to do really well in both of our respective markets. We've both been really driven. And at the same time, at a certain point, we've started to realize the inefficiencies of this corporate world. We're spending so much time in meetings and Zoom calls and unable to really control our future and our time and our destiny. And as the economy's changed, Mark's gone through really rocky times, as have I. So that's kind of this is where it came to a point of intersection, to see this opportunity and say, hey, this can really be something for us to chart our path forward and get out of the inefficiencies of the corporate world. I do still love my job. I work for PBS. I'm still in media. I love my customers. I love it, but the inefficiencies, especially now, for the amount of time that we've both put in, we don't get to see that reward as much, and it's dwindling. So we both felt like this is a really good time for us.
And you have a family, as I understand, 4 children, one still at home. So this is going to allow you to have a really nice work-life balance.
Mm.
And you're starting the business out. Explain how you're going to start the business out and kind of how you're going to delegate the duties in your studio. Because a lot of people do start part-time, and you guys are kind of doing a hybrid. So talk about that if you could.
I think just because of where we're at right now with our respective careers, it made sense for Mark to take the lead and start the business as soon as Robert does the install. But his strength is in customer relationships, sales, follow-up, marketing, advertising, the business side of the equation. And I think that's perfect for him to really get the ball rolling. So he'll be there to help get the studio up and running. And then I hope to transition out of my corporate world and my corporate relationships once he has that set up, and help him in the creative process, the execution of transferring videos, scanning, doing photos, and hopefully my love is getting into those bigger, deeper creative projects, right? Where we can help families with really creating a lasting legacy for their loved ones or their family.
And do you mind sharing? Thank you, by the way, for that. Do you mind sharing your approximate ages? Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah, I'm 58, just turned 58 in October here this month. So yeah.
Yes, I'm 55, turned 55 this year, and we met in college, and we've been married 33 years, have 4 kids, and are very relatable to all of our home video studio customers. I have boxes and photo albums, and we have home videos. We have archival videos from his family and his mom and dad. And so we can relate. We really can relate to the challenge of keeping up with technology, the challenge of trying to keep family heirlooms and records of your family in a safe, preserved environment, and in a place where everyone in your family, we have 6 of us, and we've always wondered, how are we going to divvy up these great memories among everyone, and how can we find a way
Yeah.
that they can all participate in those memories and have easy access for, grandchildren. We just had our first grandchild this past month. So
Oh, congratulations. So that is a factor, is how do people deal with all these images? And of course, the memories business, the transfer business, that is our cash cow. I mean, we just had that job come in just literally less than 15 minutes ago. It's 15, could be $20,000. And it's a great service for our customers, because how can they deal with all that?
right.
But we do other things. I mean, we teach you how, if you want to, how to produce and direct and shoot, and of course do editing and post-production. I think that, your ages are so interesting, because kind of like 52 to 59 is definitely a point where people say, is that all there is? Am I going to do something more?
Right.
And we have owners, our niche in home video studio are people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. We have a lot of owners in their 60s and some in their 70s who just want another purpose.
Right.
So it's intriguing. And you're going to, Marianne, you're going to do a lot of the, maybe all initially of the editing and post-production. Right now,
Right.
Mark may get into some of that, but that's going to be your kind of department,
I'm going
the
to try.
creative department.
Yeah.
You know, you've got in a business, you've got sales, you've got management, you've got creative, and you're going to be a team.
Yeah.
That's going to be so amazing. So
Yeah.
interesting, very interesting. And we, as Home Video Studio, are blessed to have you on board.
Well, we feel really fortunate. I
We
mean,
do. We feel
it's
very fortunate to have found this opportunity.
and you know, like we said earlier, I mean, this so much of this is the knowledge that builds the confidence that brings enthusiasm, and enthusiasm that really helps our clients. So I mean, it's
Right.
the building block, and that's one of the things that, as you mentioned, I'm going to kick things off, really start the learning curve and understanding all of the different things that we can offer, and then as they start coming our way and more projects start coming into our studio, we'll then be able to leverage Marianne's strengths and weaknesses of not many weaknesses, but the strengths that she brings
Yeah.
to the equation.
Wow. Great. Great.
Yeah.
It's gonna be quite a ride, and we're looking forward to it. So this week we're in Indianapolis, basic training, right here. I'm in my studio. You can kind of see it in the background. And then you're downstairs in what during the, our regular lives is our home theater. And then during basic training, it becomes a training room. And we just sit there and we go through pricing and marketing. How do you get business? And something you said today a couple times, I think is something a lot of people think about is how, how do I do these things? Can you kind of like rephrase that the what you've said today about it's your one of your number one concerns? Because I think other people might have that concern.
I think that once you, at least for us, once we had those great meetings with you and the other, businesses, we really felt like this is something we really want to do. And we understood the premise, we understood the model, we understood all the different opportunities. Like you said, there's a lot of different avenues to specialize in beyond just transfers. So we understood the what, right? But I
Yes,
think what has scared us a little is just the how, because we are salespeople. It's just ingrained in us, and we believe that if we believe in it, we can sell, right? We can help service
right.
and bring this to customers because we already believe in it. It's not selling, like you said. We're really problem solving. We're solution providers for families and businesses and people who need our service. But our fear is just the how, like which buttons to push. How do we set this up? How do we take that apart? How do we do this? And then the scale, right? So, like what you said today, I start seeing those boxes lining your office or upstairs that came in today, and the scale of that looks overwhelming, to be honest. It just
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
overwhelming. So we just immediately start going, how do we dive into that? Because we want it to be successful for that client who dropped that off. We want to understand how to get through all of that and deliver a wonderful product for him, right?
I think a lot of people think about that. And sometimes that even stops people from taking the first step or taking that final step because their fear can hold us back. And what I've always said is don't worry about the how, okay?
Mhm.
Because we're going to teach you the how. And once you take that step, and you actually are doing it yourself, and you do crawl before you walk, so you'll do much smaller projects before you have that, but don't worry about the how, just do it. It's almost like in Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars fan and Star Trek fan, but what does Yoda say? Just now someone will correct me, but just do it, or of course that's Nike, just do it. But um what does he say, Yoda? Somebody has to tell me in the comments the exact
Someone
thing
can
that
tell you.
Yoda says.
He's a
Do,
man of few words, that's for sure.
do or not do. But you don't really, you'll learn how to do it. And that's actually where you're starting this week. And we do at basic training, we cover so many of the fundamentals. And I think by the time we get to Friday, because we're on Tuesday now, tomorrow is all about getting business and marketing and presenting ourselves, and that's a big problem that new businesses have. They just don't know how to get business. Well, we're very good at that, and that's what we're working on tomorrow. And then tomorrow night we'll all go out to dinner. That's a long tradition in home video studio. Um, and and then when we get to Thursday and Friday, we'll start actually working on the how, and we'll start with post production. We'll start with Adobe Premiere Pro, scanning photos. And we'll get into Lightroom, classic Lightroom, uh, and and you'll make your first couple videos, and then by the end of the day Friday you'll be excited, but you'll be ready to go home. And then of course what happens, as you know, but for people that don't know this yet, uh, we come out to your city and we install your studio wherever you're going to put it, and that's 3 days. And that's pretty much all about how. Okay. But that's also where we work on the sales workflow. Okay. And we get this engine going that's going to fuel your business. Um, and then we have the next major training you'll come to. Your first year, everything is major, right? But the next major training we have that all studio owners come to, if they want to, is advanced training. And that's in Indianapolis in late February. And that's also, I think, something you're going to like, is you're going to be hanging around with other studio owners and
Right.
making new friends and that sort of thing. So um, I just really appreciate you being on our show today. Anything else you want to share with us that you're thinking right now, or any? Oh, here's a question. What would you say to somebody that is watching this, maybe on our YouTube channel or somewhere else, and maybe they're on the verge of giving us a call? What would you say?
You have
What would your advice be to them?
I mean, from my vantage point, there was a lot of discussions that Marianne and I had before we obviously signed up for the program, and it was really a lot of soul searching, a lot of just kind of thinking through, does this make sense? I mean, I came from a very structured corporate world, where everything was, you get a laptop, you get everything kind of dotted and I's dotted and T's crossed right out of the gate, and you're in this kind of a bubble in corporate America, and it's like a comfortable shoot to some degree. And I feel like we were ready, and we knew we were ready for something that we could run on our own. And it's like, like you're saying, I think in Indiana Jones, there was that taking a step, like a leap of faith, and that's
Right.
what I think you have to come to grips with, is that, we're all capable of amazing things. And sometimes it takes a leap of faith. And that's what I've been thinking about, and trying to figure out, how it's going to go. And I think, like you just said, the how remains in our mind, because we're still, not on yet. But it's
Right.
it's been incredible discussions that we've had, and I think that the time spent with you here this week has really, reinforced the decision, because we just feel like, with your experience and background, I've got a resource that I can talk to, every
Exactly.
day, and not feel like I'm out there, exposed without any support or without any help. Because I can't imagine doing this with what we learned in just 2 days. Your expertise is shining through, of how to make this business run.
Right.
Oh, thank
I would
you.
um I would add, one of the things I study a lot in my current role is just markets. I follow markets, market opportunity, and I've talked to Mark a lot about this. I think that um, our kids have challenged us a little bit on this opportunity, this business. Our kids have said, "Is there really a need for that? Is there really that much outdated media out there?" And the more I knew immediately when I first saw the ad on LinkedIn, because I've been studying a lot about the aging market in North Carolina, and Mark knew as well, our kids didn't understand. And so I would encourage people to not think that this ship has sailed, that this market is done. It's not. There are so many people, and Robert knows this better than us, but we certainly have a very good sense that there is still a wave of boxes of media that will need to be converted and turned into, tangible digital, memory files for the next generation. And there will be a big need still. And we can sense it already. Your phone is nonstop ringing the whole time we're here.
Well, the 15 boxes also is another illustrator
Yeah.
of, yeah.
So sometimes people think, oh, that ship sailed, right? Everyone jumped on that bandwagon a long time ago. I don't think that this
Yeah.
is
Well,
in any sense.
where I live in Indianapolis, and I started this business in 1991. And for people that don't know, I was flat broke. I had gone broke twice trying to make it in the film business as a producer, director, editor. And I was very good. But if you're shooting video and that's all you're doing, that's a treacherous business. It was back then, and it is now. And when I started this business, we started just making tons of money. And it was like, I was thinking by year 2, I probably have done everything in this area, you know?
Right,
And then
right,
year 5, I was thinking that, are there going to be more people that have this?
right.
And now we are in year, 33 of this studio being open. And I still run a studio here in Indianapolis. And and it still continues just to pour in. And
Right.
and so I think also I want our viewers to know I need to get these glasses adjusted. So that's what I want our viewers to know. I don't want to make a spectacle of myself on national. Are we on national TV? No, we're on our podcast, our video, or whatever you want to call it. But I do joke around a little bit, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But not joking now. It's not just Robert. We have a team of people to support you and to train you. And of course, then we've got all the other studio owners. We call ourselves the home video studio family. Everybody wants to help everybody else. And so that's people that have been in home video studio for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. But it's also new people like you come into home video studio and you bring this wealth of information in. And it's not like you're coming in and you're 18, right? Nothing against 18 years olds, but you have people that come into home video studio bring their talents and what they're good at, and they kind of add to the mix. So we're so happy you're here. But what do you think? One last question. What do you think your favorite profit center will be? Do you have any idea so far? What are you thinking? If you had to take a guess.
I mean, I think the cash cow is really the origin of getting the engine running, right? And once the engine's running, I think you can start pivoting to, whatever you can kind of run across that fits into your strategy. And, like you said, the strategies can be altered and changed as we go. And I think momentum is a big part of it. So
Yeah.
once we get the tape business going and we understand how to, get all those digital files made, then we're going to feel like what is the next iteration of our business, right? And most importantly, like Marianne said, I mean, we come from corporate sales. We want our clients to be successful. We want them to be happy. And winning one deal, and you do it the right way, you end up getting more and more business. So
Right.
that's I think the best strategy that we can go off with is just really, be great at each thing that we do.
Oh, and let's let people know where your studio will be. And if they're near there and they need video services, then they can go to your studio. Where will your studio be? What city and state?
Yeah, we're in North Carolina, right outside of Raleigh in a town called Holly Springs, but it borders up with Fuquay Varina and Apex and Cary and also Knightsdale. I mean, we're right in Grand Central Station in North Carolina.
Right,
Right.
right triangle there. So it's a great area. But I
Huge
would,
population base. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. I would second what Mark said. I feel like we both can sense. I just read an article I showed him the other day about this wave of people that are aging and moving into either assisted living or retirement homes and dropping boxes and households full of stuff on their children. And they are predicting that this wave is coming, right? That there is going to continue to be a wave of families and a generation dealing with stuff. And so if we can be a service, a local service, a trusted service, at least in our area, in our part of the state, to deal with some of that stuff and help them preserve it, archive it in a way that will be there for future generations. That's going to be, I think, the cornerstone of what you've taught us to start with. But my passion would love to be to learn how to create, more of a true, documentary on each person, do a either a video of their life or their story somehow captured in video. I think we would love to get more into those creative keepsakes.
Yeah.
Ways.
And,
Yeah.
and that if you're watching this, this is our secret sauce that Home Video Studio has. So we are modifiers and changers of content. So content is all that stuff we've been talking about, tapes and films and photos and negatives and slides and albums like that guy brought in.
Right.
All this content brings you a constant flow of money. So if you're just thinking, I want to make as much money as I can as soon as I can. I want to have a great business that I can run from home. Well, you can do that and you can make top dollar in this business. But all of that content, as you were just alluding to, that content that comes in beyond money, it brings us the actual content. So now we can make value added videos for our customers, whether it's a lifetime video or a documentary, as you said, or a retrospective.
Right.
So much we can do with that content. And that's where the creative part comes in.
Right.
You're not going to be creative when you're scanning somebody's photos or you're transferring something else. But then how does all that go together? And remember, we talked about that today. We talked about like how if you watch like these shows like Chopped and these Food Network shows like Guy Fieri and what does he have? What was that show he has that?
Drive-ins and dives,
Or the
the
shopping,
grocery
games.
Yeah,
Grocery
grocery games. And
Right.
so there are a lot of shows where they bring in these chefs and well, Bobby Flay does that. He has Beat Bobby Flay and they bring in these chefs and they give them their main ingredients like their protein and maybe some veggies or asparagus or something strange, right? And these amateur chefs and pro chefs put together that gourmet meal. And they can use what's in the pantry. They can use the oven, the mixer, the ice cream machine, all of this. This is what you'll learn to do in your studio, and you'll do it with all that content. And so companies will call you, organizations will call you, people will bring things in and they'll say, oh, we've got these pictures. Here's our logo. Here's an interview with our CEO. Here is, Joe just shot all this video with his smartphone. And now we need this put into a presentation. And then you use your creativity, you use your tools like Adobe Premiere Pro, Photoshop, Adobe Audition, After Effects. You use all that to create this incredible video for your clients. And I think that the analogy of, the food business, the chef and all that is really applies to what we do. So I think you're going to have a lot of fun. Yeah. And I'm going to have a lot of fun watching.
Already having fun.
We are having fun already.
We are. Yeah, it is It is a fun business. Well, finishing up, I know we've got to get on with the day. Anything else you want to add, or do you just want to say goodbye, Robert? Whatever.
I got nothing.
No, we're just we're excited, very excited,
Yeah.
and feel fortunate. It's a great community. We've already felt great support and are so glad to be joining this versus trying to do something on our own. This is
Yeah.
fantastic.
And we feel the same way. We are so happy to have you here, and I can't wait to get down to Raleigh and
Yeah,
Holly Springs and hang out with you and get your studio going. So thank
great.
you.
Thank
All
you.
right. That's a wrap. Thanks for being here. Goodbye.
Bye.